Well, Florida State's Mike Norvell earned the trust of the Florida State fans this year with a good performance, or is it a downhill slide?
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Seminoles. I am your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you for making Locked On Seminoles your first listen each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. We're going to be talking all things Noles from a big box perspective now that we are officially in game week. Florida State hosting the Alabama Crimson Tide. All the stuff that's going on with the roster, getting the depth chart looked at, making sure that we know who everybody is, where they're going to be playing, all the decisions that have been made. It starts with Norvell. That's going to be the beginning of the show and the overarching theme. We're going to be talking about Tommy Castellanos, how he needs to make an adjustment. That's going to be a huge part of this show as well. And then just breaking down the roster and looking at Florida State, not just in 25, but long-term. How long is it going to take for the Florida State Seminoles to be a prominent national college football program again? To help me figure out everything that's going on, rock and roll. Jeremy, what's going on, brother? How you doing today?
How you doing, my friend? Thanks for having me. It's game week. Let's do this.
Well, it is game week, and I did a lot of research on just the Iowa State-Kansas State game going into this weekend. That's how much I'm not an Iowa State fan. I'm not a Kansas State fan, but that's how much I miss college football. You know, they're good teams and all that. But I just love college football, and I like breaking down depth charts, looking at the recruiting rankings, which portal guys. And, of course, since I cover Florida State, they're one of the most complex teams to figure out, maybe the most, since it's unbelievable. So, Jeremy, I wanted you on just to get your take to make sure I don't miss anything and to have some fun. So the first thing, I'm just going to put you right out there in front of the bus, though. First one, just overarching thing. Do you feel comfortable long-term with Norvell being the guy that leads the Florida State Seminoles?
No. And I say that because there's no track record of someone having a 2-win season, bouncing back and doing what he needs to do, especially
You're right.
And I've never seen it before. So how could I say this is the guy? And if I said, man, I see a lot of great young talent for the future, I could feel better. I don't see that as a whole. Mike has never been a great recruiter, which you have pointed out very well many times. So I don't see down the line where we can get better if we just stay patient. He put the Band-Aid he needed to put on for this year. We think, but I'm still not sure. So I don't think so. And I said that about Jimbo towards the end of his time. I'm saying that about Mike too.
Your point is an excellent one about 2 and 10. There are just statistical data points that you can use: hockey, baseball, whatever you want. Baseball, especially, it's such a stat sport. But name a coach that's had a season like that that won a national title. There have been guys that have bounced back and came close, kind of. Notre Dame in 2016 went 4-8. They made the playoff after that. That was kind of, I thought Brian Kelly was done. So at least he did that. But even getting there was kind of surprising. And I don't think he's ever winning a title, even though he's at LSU and it's easier to win there than it is in Notre Dame. I don't think he's ever winning a title. Norvell went 2 and 10, and that's the worst team at Florida State modern history. Since World War II, it's probably the worst team in Florida State. So absolutely. It's unbelievable how bad they were. But the ironic part, and I got to give the administration at Florida State University credit, I'm sure the conversation, and I'm ad-libbing here, you're getting rid of these coordinators, and we're going to spend some money on some guys. You better get this right or you're gone too. I mean, I'm sure that, and he probably knew that.
Yeah.
I give Norvell credit. This is a point. What was the number, Jeremy? Like $4 million he gave back off his contract to donate?
4.5. Yeah, 4.5.
That's cool. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah, but we talked about it. It was very his agent did a good job with that one, let's just say. It's good to endear yourself for the fan base. If we can, he gets it all back. So it was really, he had nothing to lose by doing that. That was just to save face a little.
I give him credit for even trying, because like a lot of coaches are stubborn. So I'll leave it at that and be on the positive.
Oh, yeah.
But a lot of coaches just would have been like, well, just fire me. Go ahead.
Yeah, he has that fire to turn it around.
I give him credit for that.
And wants to be here. I mean, I went to a booster event this year, he made that very clear, how much he loves this place. Now, he probably knows deep down, if I get fired from Florida State, good luck getting to a major Power 5 school anytime soon.
Yeah, he may have to take 5 to 8 years to get back. He may have to go coach at Tulane or something like that for a while.
Because he had the stigma of, how is this group of 5 coach going to make it at this big level? So he will still have that stigma if he doesn't make it at Florida State. With an AD that loves him and does not want to fire him.
Yeah.
Even though he didn't hire him, Mike Alford does not want to fire Mike Norvell. They don't want to go into the Big Ten, hopefully, with a new coach in the first year.
Well, if you think about it, and I'm not trying to completely change the subject, let's take FSU out of the mix. I'm just going to go ahead and throw this out there. I get people all the time when I do live shows on Locked On Seminoles say, this is Mike's last year. And I quickly retaliate with, Mike has a $50 million contract. No, it's not.
No.
I don't think he's getting fired after 26, personally, unless he really bombs, because it's still going to be like $35, $40 million. They just put $200 and some million in renovations in, and they're trying to save to get out of it. Like, the timing just could not be worse. It's just unfortunate. And I'm not mad at Florida State for extending him. He went 13-0. So I get it, but it's working against Florida State. Anyway, if you were like, let's say Billy Bombs with a pretty talented roster at UF this year, for whatever reason, who are you hiring? If you're LSU and Kelly Bombs, they go 7-5. Who are you hiring?
That's another factor. Is the pool is not 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, the pool was thin.
Yeah,
bro.
I want Lane Kiffin, but if people hated that Mike hits the portal, you're really not going to like Lane Kiffin.
Kiffin, I think, would do better with high school. And I'm not picking on Ole Miss. It's a million times easier to recruit to Florida State because the state of Mississippi, while talented per capita, is just not populated enough. And you can recruit South Florida like crazy if you're FSU, just like Bobby did, just like Jimbo did, to put the cherry on top.
True.
Remember the running back we were talking about before the show, a certain running back from Miami Central?
I do.
Adding elite players, just a couple kids from South Florida on top of all the Central and like North Florida kids they get. Man, it's not that hard to recruit Florida State. So, and then of course the Georgia guys too.
And here's a question also. Yeah, I don't think Mike is going to make it. Well, at least where he may still be there, even though he doesn't deserve to be there. But right now, do we trust the administration? A year ago, I said, man, I can't remember the last time we've been this strong as a university. Now I'm beginning to wonder. If we don't trust them, then it trickles down because Mike's below them. So that's what I wonder is if we don't trust Alfred, and he's more focused on his stadium and his big projects than Mike. But if I'm Alfred, I'm keeping a close eye on Tony White. I think we got lucky to get him.
I was going to bring that up later, but since you hit it, I'm just going to go ahead and throw it there. One of two things is going to happen here. He's a good coach. That's not really debatable if you've researched it the way I have, and I'm annoying, nerdy football guy. I get that. It's not easy to turn around a defense, even a little bit at Syracuse. That is a terrible job. Because getting kids to Northern New York, oh, my God. I mean, it's an outpost.
Right.
It's an outpost. And then he goes to Nebraska. They had a decent roster, but they had the number 9 rushing defense the first year he was there. Installing a new defense with the lack of athletes they have in terms of depth. I mean, and in the Big Ten West, they all run the ball. And they still finish number 9. So I know the guy can coach. So if Florida State, I mean, if they suck and don't win games, but Tony's a pretty good coach, and I think he's a decent recruiter based on this year so far. I don't have enough evidence to back
I've heard he is too, yeah.
But he seems like a likable guy. He's no nonsense. And I'm just going to say the following statement, and FSU fans can get mad if they want. Florida State still has guys on the roster that need to be jettisoned.
Yeah.
That is probably Norvell's second biggest fault besides is the same thing I say almost every show. He's not a good recruiter. But if you bring somebody on the roster that screws around, even if they started out as a guy you should have recruited, if they're idiots, you got to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Florida State's got to cut bait with some guys. Tony's made it clear he does not suffer fools. Out of everything I've taken from fall camp, just looking at the roster, the team, the program, Jeremy, my favorite thing is that Tony White doesn't suffer any fools, and they're slowly, it'll take a while because this moves like government, but slowly Florida State is getting to a point where they're fun to watch again because they're going to have some discipline. I knew it, like when you and I watched them in the 90s and all that, they flew around and they had some idiots. They would make mistakes here and there because they get aggressive. But overall, they played team defense, and that's why they won. I mean, they had more talent. I get it, but they still played team defense. You can't do one or the other. It's got to be
pull you from a game.
What's that?
Mickey Andrews was not afraid to pull you from a game.
Yeah, he wanted you to play a certain way, to respect the helmet, respect the spear, respect Florida State, and the kids respected him, and it worked. So that's really, really important. I want to go ahead.
Oh no, and typically when you see a hire made, they usually go the opposite of the previous coach. Tony's so different from Mike.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
He's very different. You watch his press conferences where Mike wants to be the positive motivator. I'm not saying the buddy like Willie was, but Mike doesn't like to hurt feelings. Man, let me keep you because you're a nice kid and you try hard for me. Tony's different. When he said those days they need to get their you-know-what in line, we haven't had that in a long time as a coach. So he fits that mold. Yeah. And he'll learn the culture this year there.
I absolutely agree. When we come back, I want to talk more about the defense, but we need to get into Tommy Castellanos, what he needs to do, and the coaching staff needs to be responsible for this. That is next here on Locked On Seminoles. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who look for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling for your MVP, eyeing a bold shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champion before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. So take a flyer on the MVP race, maybe, or perhaps you've got somebody you really think is going to win it. For me, it's Joe Burrow. Maybe for you, it's Saquon Barkley. Whoever it is, FanDuel lets you make your decision. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now, because FanDuel Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. Thank you once again for making Locked On Seminoles your first listen each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. I am Brian Smith, your host. We are going to be here every day talking Florida State with the big game against Alabama, less than a week away. Jeremy joining me from Rock and Roll. Your podcast, by the way, is great. Make sure you check it out.
Thank you.
Let's have some fun here with this next part, because this one, I even know the kid and I don't know the answer, so I respect your opinion. You're a diehard Nole. You're grad, you're a fan, all that. We talked about before we hit record, one of the keys to this season is that extremely fine line of Tommy Castellanos using his legs, obviously, incredible athlete, but he can't take extra shots. So here's the question, and you can approach this from any manner you want, especially when you're playing what I consider the 5 toughest games on the schedule: at NC State, at Florida, at Clemson, Miami, and Alabama. Do you run Tommy more? And on top of that, do you tell him, even though you're running more, come hell, come high water, you just can't take hits? We don't have anybody else ready. How do you approach that situation?
That's a great question. And this is really going to show, in my opinion, how much Gus runs the offense versus Mike, because Gus knows he doesn't have much behind him. And I'm not saying Sperry's not going to be good, but he's not ready now. Brock just got back into camp. We're not sure how he fits with this offense or anything. You can't afford to lose Castellanos, or this is even worse than Jordan Travis going down for you, because you don't have the defense that Jordan, at least what Jordan's team had. But Mike is stubborn in the past. He'll still run quarterbacks when he shouldn't. Jordan shouldn't have run against that South Alabama. Keon Coleman should not have been returning punts for you. Deuce Robinson, I don't want to hear that he's back there returning punts. But what I'm trying to say is, do you run Tommy less because of the depth behind him? That's like putting a handcuff behind Gus, because Gus is a runner, and I love the play breaks down. You have that option. But you can't make it a primary focus in games that aren't Alabama or Clemson or Miami or Florida. You just can't. So, yeah, you have to limit Tommy.
I agree. And here's the secondary part. I was just thinking about this. It's something Gus has done throughout his career, and it's not even shocking, but it is a matter of math. I remember the first time I heard Urban Meyer talking about this and all the different things he used to do with Tebow, et cetera. And it's just continue. Everybody's got something different. They've got some big backs at Florida State.
Yeah.
215, 220. You could even put Sam Singleton back. He can fly and put him at quarterback and run. I would not be surprised by anything that they did in terms of putting a running back in the game and running basically the old wing T, and just especially in the goal line. Maybe that Cam Davis played. I don't know if a lot of people know this. He played quarterback in high school, and he can swing it. If they put Cam's a thumper, he's 220 pounds. Put him at running back. If you got Rodell next to him or Usman, who he grew up with, they grew up like 15 minutes apart.
Yeah.
Put him in the backfield. That might be a way to supplement. You might put Tommy still in the game and he just goes out in motion. I'm telling you, he's as good an athlete as Florida State has on the roster. If he gets the ball out there, good luck tackling him. There's all kinds of little gadgety things they can do. And I know people get nervous with that, but they have to limit Tommy's hits.
Yeah.
So I don't know what else you're going to do, because you're not magically going to push a button. Tommy Castellanos, all of a sudden you are a very good pocket passer. That's not how it works. If it was, he would have turned pro already. Really good pocket passers leave after their third year because they're really good pocket passers, and that's what the NFL wants. Right. So this is one of the bigger dilemmas, and it's a coaching situation. Jeremy, you rightfully brought that up. But the biggest key for me, though, is like, how do you – because everybody has this happen. Let's say it's the Virginia game or whatever, who, by the way, is having a terrible fall with injuries. Both their tackles, 3 DBs, and their best linebacker have been banged up. Good luck to them. They're in a world of crap. But if you're in a game where you should win and you've hit the struggle bus because mentally the team just didn't focus on it, do you push the Tommy button a little more? Because if you do and he gets hurt in that game against Virginia or anybody like that because of what happened to a certain quarterback, you already mentioned him earlier.
Yeah.
I do not envy the FSU coaching staff. It's hard to motivate kids against teams when the helmet isn't what they're concerned about. And, Saban used to talk about that. Bobby used to talk about the motive. You're not going to motivate college kids for every week. You're not. I don't care if you tell them you're going to cut their hands off. You're not going to do it. We're playing Virginia. We're going to roll the ball out and kick their butt. Yeah, are you? Are you sure about that? That's just how in Florida State's team over the last 5 years has struggled so many times against mid-level, middling ACC. We hope we're going to a bowl game kind of teams. I don't trust them against Virginia Tech, even after the year they had last year.
I happen to like Virginia Tech's quarterback.
I do too, but they
wish he was with us.
Into the ground last year. So, I have no idea what's going to happen with Tech. We play them this year. That could be one of those games where it's 13-10 going into the fourth quarter, and you need Tommy to make a play. You're like, ugh. Was really hoping in this game he didn't even play in the fourth quarter because we got NC State and Florida coming up and stuff. Those are the kinds of games where FSU can get behind. Your studs have to play cards on the sideline in the fourth quarter games if you're going to win big games because they can't be beat up. There's something Bud Elliott talks about all the time. And when I run into Buddy, we talk about it. FSU starters play too many reps. It kills them.
No, I completely agree. That's why I'm hoping, listen, you have to if you want to beat Alabama, you got to throw the kitchen sink at them.
Sure.
You're going to have to run him that game.
That's fine. I have no problem with the first game against Bama. That's understandable.
And I want him to be nothing more in the next 2 games after that than just a valet handing the ball off to people.
He should have 5 carries combined in those 2 games, and 4 of them minimum should be scrambles where he just goes and gets 3 yards and slides.
And every game after that, I think, is a coin toss at best.
Yeah, because if you start off slow or if your defense doesn't figure out the scheme that Tony's – I'm telling you, I've seen him play live several times, and I know Tommy. That dude is electric. I get wanting to hit the go-go button, but if he gets hurt, this could turn into, instead of a 7-5, 8-4 season, it could turn into 4-8 if he gets hurt in game 4. And then you got to play Miami, Clemson, all the you're liable to lose. I would assume it's Sperry, by the way. I don't even know who the quarterback would be for sure, but there's no game on the schedule. I'm like, yeah, they're going to win. They don't have another quarterback that can run Gus's offense yet.
Okay.
Sperry would be the best, but he's true freshman. Come on, that's not fair to Kevin. And
Tommy knows if he goes down early, Mike is going to Florida State. He said it in that quote. I'm here to save coaches' jobs. He knows it. If you watched now, that's why I said the Gus and Mike scenario was Jordan's senior year. Yeah, he ran against South Alabama when he shouldn't have, but Mike didn't let him run that much for the most part. Duke finally second half when we were losing, he let Jordan loose.
Turn him loose.
Clemson, he did not let him run a ton. First game LSU a little bit, but he really wanted him to be a better pocket passer to help him for the NFL. Tommy needs that too, where I need to prove I'm a good passer or I'm not going to play quarterback in the NFL.
Sure.
But that's not Gus's offense. I don't know how you can run a Gus Malzahn offense and tell your quarterback we're going to limit your runs, because that even changes your play calls as far as rolling out to throw. And if that isn't available, he has to run. So that's where I think Mike and Gus are going to have to really work together and come up with a pitch count as far as his runs go.
Yeah, I would agree.
That's never done.
I would agree, because there's only so much you can do when, like, again, if your team's flat, you got to return to, okay, what's our bread and butter here to get us going again? Well, Tommy having the ball in his hands, making decisions in RPO, which sometimes leads to him running as part of it. And then GT with the quarterback draw, and then him outside the pocket deciding to be an athlete. All those things could lead to him taking some hits, but he's got to have the ball in his hands. And if he gets turned loose and it happens, I guess you kind of live with the consequences, but I digress. When we come back, I'm going to ask Jeremy about a few players, some guys he thinks might be surprises, some concerns we both have. That is next on Locked On Seminoles. Today's show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one financial tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or in your phone. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. With Monarch Money, it makes it easy for you and your significant other to view all your finances in one place, making it convenient to help yourselves, your kids, and your grandchildren. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONCollege. All right, Jeremy, it's time to make some picks here. We've gabbed enough. I'm going to cut this a little shorter. I have to go through the whole roster, but we talked about Tommy. Give me an offensive player that you think will be a breakout player and or somebody you're concerned about if it doesn't work out. Florida State could be in trouble.
I tell you, this one falls under both of those. I was so excited for Landen Thomas this year.
Me too.
And so that's why so many guys I've thought about either aren't healthy now or we're not hearing about now. So maybe I'm bad luck. I don't know. But Landen Thomas and Elijah Moore and LeWayne McCoy were my guys. I really was high, especially Landen. I said he's that guy that can really help Tommy not have to run. If Tommy can just throw an 8-yard pass to him, move the chains, keep it going. And Landen's a guy you really have to account for in the passing game and the running game because he's a good blocker. And I thought Pittman was that perfect number 2 next to him to take some pressure off him. We have no idea what Landen's availability is right now. I think that is being so underplayed. That could really cost us 2 or 3 games if he's not up to speed. He was the guy I was banking on this year to help this offense be decent. So yeah, that's the one I thought I was going to be right about, and right now I'm not sure. Elijah Moore, I thought I was right with first 2 weeks of camp. Mike singled him out. We've heard nothing about him since. Mike, you never know all the time. These new coaches, from what I gather, they don't say a name just to say a name, which I like. So that's what I go off of. I haven't heard Elijah in weeks. So I don't know what we're doing. I mean, we have been so snake bitten at that position for so long.
I know.
So yeah, Landen Thomas was my big one on offense, and I think I'm going to be wrong about this one. Not just his ability, just health.
He just got back. For those who don't know, last week he came and played in the scrimmage. But the key with fall camp is just actually running. There's no shortcut around it. It's just getting in cardiovascular shape, because Landen Thomas has been a freak since I met him when he was in 8th grade.
Wow.
He was like a 6'4", 215-pound kid in 8th grade. It was hilarious seeing him. We all knew he was a guy. And anyway, committed to Georgia, flips to Florida State. He's going to play in the NFL. But if he's not able to play 40-plus snaps against Alabama, it's a problem. And if he's playing 40-plus snaps just because they don't have anybody else to do what he can do, which I'm afraid of, he's also going to miss blocks. He's going to not be able to set the edge on outside zone or helping Tommy in pass protect. There's so many things that can go wrong. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. For me, the biggest thing is whether or not both the tackles can pass protect. So however you want to rank that, if you've always got to leave Landen in or Pittman in or running back in, it kills your passing game, especially on 3rd and 6, 3rd and 8. And Bama's got pass rushers. They'll get exposed if they ain't ready. I have not heard the things I want to hear. So I don't know if it's Hansen, if it's Pettis, or both. I need to see it. I don't think either one of them's hurt, which is the good news. But at the same time, if they struggle, those are the guys that I'm concerned about. But if they're good, especially in the run game, and get themselves in more manageable situations, look out. On defense, Jeremy, same question. Who you think can be a surprise, and or which individual do you think, if this doesn't work out, I'm not feeling so warm and fuzzy?
I think if Jeremiah Wilson is not even half of the hype that we've been hearing about, that pass defense is going to be in trouble. You literally have to ask that young man to lock down the number one receiver every week and not just play good against him, but amazing. And going against Ryan Williams first week can hurt your confidence.
100%.
So, yeah, I think he has to be great. Plain and simple. And if I can go back to the offense for a second, I like how you brought up the offense tackles pass protecting. I didn't even know who the number 3 tackle is.
I'm not sure I still do, to be honest.
There's going to be a drive where somebody gets hurt and you need someone to step in on a big 3rd down play. And you need to know that you can call the play you want to call. I haven't heard who our number 3 is. So, but yeah, on defense, Jeremiah Wilson. I'm not worried about the linebackers as much as other people. I think in Tony White's defense, it really all centers around the defensive line and the secondary. And as long as the linebackers fill their space, they're fine. I would like some more elite players there. Sure. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's as critical as the other 2 positions. I don't mention Darrell Jackson because I expect him to get double teamed a lot. And if James Williams doesn't play like they think, I don't know who our true pass rusher guy who can get us some sacks is.
That was my answer, and it led into your point about. Oh, that's fine.
Okay,
Jerry Wilson, because even if you had Dion in his prime back at Florida State, you could only cover for so long.
Right.
Florida State has always been blessed with a lot of different pass rushers. Like Greg Spires was a really good pass rusher, but he played with Renard Wilson and Peter Boulware. He didn't even get a chance all the time to play because they had so many guys. They don't have those dudes on the roster right now that has pass rushers on the edge. So if Williams does not hit, and if he's not healthy for all 12, which is asking a lot, any game that he doesn't play, the drop-off is concerning. This is where I don't know what to say to this because I don't think Florida State's 100% sure how they're going to do it yet. How much does Amari play on both sides? That is a weird deal because he's a freaky kid. I saw him in high school, great kid. Does he play 12 snaps a game on defense just to give, a little extra? Because Jenkins is going to be good and Williams is going to be good, I'm pretty sure, but they can't play every rep. So who's the guy off the bench if it's not Amari?
Well, exactly. Doesn't the Amari theory fall under Landen Thomas availability?
Partially. That's what I mean.
If Landen plays like we thought he couldn't, I do like Pittman a lot from what I hear. Because I didn't get to watch a Garnet and Cole game. I couldn't really watch, but I like Pittman. I liked him at UCF. And you covered him, so you know. I was excited for Murray on defense this year. Now I'm like, we may need you more on offense. I didn't like hearing the other day that I guess he ran 2 plays in a row on each side and flipped. I don't want that. That kid needs some consistency. He's a freak. We're trying to send people to the NFL at Florida State like we used to. We're not doing him a favor if we're not giving him a solid position. So that's why I think if Landen can play like we think he can, he's a nice compliment to James Williams.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. All right, I'm going to wrap up with this. If Florida State can stay relatively healthy, they'll go to a decent bowl game. But if they have any critical injuries at tackle, D-end, or like Jerry gets hurt at corner, they can be 5-7, 6-6. It's just reality. And of course, Tommy, that's a whole nother animal. This is a thin team, and it's the difference between Florida State now compared to like when you and I were growing up and then like when we were college age. It's a totally different deal. And you can't be in that circumstance and expect everything to go great when you got to play a 12-game schedule that out of conference, you're playing Bama and Florida. So teams that even if you won the games, you're taking a lot of attrition, you know, and it just – but I digress. So, Jeremy, thank you as always for joining, talking some football. I'll have you on again soon.
I'd love to.
It's a lot of fun to talk football. Give Jeremy some respect. Rock and Roll, check out his podcast.
I'll be in Tallahassee for the opener vlogging for my YouTube channel, the Rock and Roll channel. So if you see me, please come say hi.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah. I appreciate it. We will see you again soon. Thank you for joining. We will see you again soon here on Locked On Seminoles.